Hey, welcome to another video. So today we're going to be going into Darth Tenebrous as we know him from Star Wars Legends. But before we begin, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, links in the description, and consider becoming a join member to further support the channel. Otherwise, let's jump straight into it. So, after being selected as an apprentice by a Twi'lek Sith Lord, Ruggnus Gnome became Darth Tenebrous. Together, he and his master devoted themselves to the grand plan. In the mix, Darth Tenebrous constructed a red lightsaber during his Sith training, and would go on to wield the weapon when he either sparred or honed his lightsaber combat skills. One of the schemes Tenebrous and his master devised was the development of a targeted virus that would sever the Jedi's connection to the Force. Yet despite spending years developing the virus, the project was ultimately a failure. Tenebrous eventually came to see the dark side of the Force not as a kind of malevolent mystic sentence bent on spreading suffering throughout the galaxy, but as an energy source, which could, like any other source, be manipulated. When Gnome saw no further use for his master, he killed him. Ruggnus Gnome was widely known for creating a legendary starship design throughout the galaxy, while hiding his identity as a Sith Lord. In searching for a Sith apprentice, Tenebrous manipulated a middle-ranking intergalactic bank agent named Carole Damask into meeting his future wife, knowing that if they had a child, their offspring would be strong in the Force. When the expected child, Higo Damask, turned 5, Gnome traveled to Magito and was able to convince his parents to hand him over. Tenebrous took the child as his apprentice, naming him Darth Plagueis. As with many of his predecessors as Sith Lords, Tenebrous worked hard to expand the Sith's network of informants and agents that had started with Darth Bane. These agents were the Sith's eyes and ears in all corners of the galaxy, providing them with information, but also with access to the highest circles of power in galactic politics. As such, he took up the public persona of Ruggnus Gnome, a starship designer whose constructs were delivered only to the elite members of the rising powers of the galaxy. Among these influential beings, politicians were often found in conjunction with entrepreneurs, bankers, industrialists, and any other being possessing enough power that could eventually assist the Sith designs. Tenebrous' apprentice, Darth Plagueis, assisted his master in these efforts in his public persona as Higo Damask, a wealthy financier who eventually set up his own financial lobbying group, Damask Holdings. As the son of the former head of the intergalactic banking clan, Plagueis also inherited the remote moon of Sojourn and the gatherings that often occurred there under the stewardship of his father. Originally conceived as a retreat for the wealthy, Carole Damask had used these gatherings as a means to bring together influential beings and allow them to foment secret agendas for both business and political ambitions. Under Plagueis, Tenebrous used the gatherings to extend his own influence over the Republic and the galaxy. Among the people Tenebrous brought into his web were the leaders of the rising Trade Federation, which began to have great influence over the outlying systems and even in the Galactic Senate. The Federation would eventually become one of Damask's Holdings' most important clients. Also included in Tenebrous' plots was the Grand Protectorate, the representatives of the government of the fuel-rich planet Malastare. The Protectorate's senator, Pax Team, was considered by Tenebrous and Plagueis as a potential candidate they could manipulate into the position of Supreme Chancellor. Tenebrous also tried to bring other beings into his circle of influence. Among them was a wealthy industrialist named Carole Santh. Desiring to bring Santh into his circle, Tenebrous offered him exclusive rights for a Ruggnus Gnome starship. However, Santh outwitted Tenebrous, and agents of Santh's security successfully stole the blueprints, cutting Gnome out of the deal altogether. Santh used the success of the starship, once it had been manufactured, to expand his holdings by acquiring and controlling a share of Sinar Technologies. Nara Sinar, the company's chief operating officer, was only able to keep his position by marrying his daughter to Santh. Seeing a way to have his revenge and gain the friendship of Nero Sinar, Tenebrous sent Plagueis to assassinate Carole in his apprentice's first mission as an assassin. In 67 BBY, this is before the Battle of Yavin, Tenebrous and his apprentice Plagueis traveled to the planet Baldemic to investigate a load of cortosis ore. However, their M2 mining probe droid had been sabotaged by subtext mining and ignited a pocket of lethane gas, causing a massive explosion. Though Tenebrous managed to contain the explosion, Plagueis saw the opportunity to kill his master, collapsing the ceiling of the cavern onto Tenebrous. Dying, Tenebrous congratulated his apprentice on succeeding him. However, the rockfall had crushed the starship with which the two Sith had arrived, and Plagueis was effectively stranded in a place where he required an enviro suit to survive. When he realized that his apprentice's desire to kill him had seriously endangered the continuation of the Sith, Tenebrous expressed disappointment in his pupil. Plagueis, angered by this, broke the Bith's neck. As the unconscious gnome slowly died, Plagueis utilized the Force to study microscopic changes in Tenebrous' body, observing the slow death of his neurons and metachlorians. However, this was not the end of Tenebrous, who ensured the survival of his own consciousness into altered metachlorians, which he labeled maxichlorians. These maxichlorians would then migrate not into the Force, but into Plagueis himself, the diseased one. Not possessing a Bith's precision, Plagueis would never suspect Tenebrous' consciousness was inside his body, infecting cells with maxichlorians that would cut off the host of its Force sensitivity. In order to fulfill his goals, Tenebrous sacrificed his ability to sense the motion of the future, something he no longer required since he already knew his future. Tenebrous' ultimate plan was to eventually possess the prophesied Chosen One, using the power of essence transfer, when they were still young and unable to resist, giving Tenebrous access to a body with a historic amount of metachlorians. As his body died, Darth Tenebrous entered his apprentice's body and slipped into his cells. As the retrovirus propagated, the Bith gained access to Plagueis' power of foresight. At that moment, he discovered and felt Plagueis' own death at the hands of his apprentice, which was only visible as a smear of darkness. That vision horrified him. Plagueis would die too soon, and Tenebrous would not fulfill his ultimate goal, seizing and becoming the Chosen One when he would appear. Seeking an answer to understand Plagueis' complacent behavior, Tenebrous threw again his mind at the future, but could see nothing. As the retrovirus infected Plagueis' every cell, his apprentice was now robbed of his foresight power, wholly giving himself to panic. Gnome escaped Plagueis' body to think about a way out, only to discover his mummified remains. Time had passed, probably decades or centuries, but the Sith Lord was unaware of it. He then wondered if in his foresight, instead of being eliminated, had been twisted in upon itself, forcing him to endlessly relive his death, thus acquiring the coveted immortality, but not as he wanted. At that moment of realization, the Dark Lord wished he still had a mouth with which to scream. After Plagueis killed his master, he obtained Darth Tenebrous' lightsaber, and conducted investigations into those responsible for the sabotage of the probe after his master's death. Though he did not ultimately discover the culprit, his interrogation of a group of representatives of subtext mining on Sojourn led him to Naboo, after one of their number attempted to make amends by informing him of a past plasma source on the planet. There, Plagueis would discover a young human named Palpatine, his future apprentice, Darth Sidious, in the very same dark vision that had terrified Tenebrous in the moments of his death. True to his vision, Palpatine would ultimately murder Plagueis and bring the grand plan to fruition as Emperor of the Galactic Empire. So what do you guys think of Darth Tenebrous? Please let me know in the comments down below. If you haven't already, please be sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, join the Sith Citadel Discord, link is in the description, and consider becoming a join member to further support the channel. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.